Brett?
Thank you, Bob. I want to start off by congratulating both Texas and Iowa State on making tonight's women's basketball championship game. It's going to be a heck of a game. Looking forward to it. We expect a great crowd. Should be a lot of fun here for the community. You know, when I took this job, one of the priorities was more equity for our women's basketball programs. Moving their championship to a world-class venue, T-Mobile, for the first time ever was a big step in that direction. And it's been a great, great week here, and it'll culminate with a great game again this evening. Fans have been incredibly supportive, and in fact, we've set some attendance records, and the crowds, like I said, have been great, and we expect a great crowd this evening. Our women's basketball has been great all year long. I think we deserve 7 teams in the tournament. We'll see what happens, but I'm confident we are one of the deepest leagues in the country. The Big 12 is the only conference in women's basketball with all teams in the top 100 of the net rankings. Just like our men's, Big 12 women's basketball will even get better next year with the addition of the Four Corners schools. On the men's front, what can I say? Just another year in the best conference in basketball. We have led the nation in conference net ranking every week this season. We are the top conference in the Ken Palm, AP, whatever acronym you want to use. We've been number 1. We had the best non-conference winning percentage of any league. Off the court, we're going to be introducing some great marketing and fan enhancements for this year's championship. Like football, our championship games will be streamed live in Times Square, starting with tonight's women's championship. As you see in front of me, the WWE partnership continues. This title belt will be presented to the most outstanding players of each championship game. Shaq is also making his return this weekend, performing at Power and Light after Saturday's men's championship. We've also introduced nearly 400 new premium seats and 2 new premium club areas for this championship, and more to come next year. When the first ever 16-team Big 12 basketball championship tips off in 2025, we will also be introducing our Basketball All Access Pass. You probably read a little bit about it last year, or last week rather. That will give fans the ability to purchase the same seat location at T-Mobile through 2031. I'd like to thank again T-Mobile Center. It's an incredible venue, and they've been a wonderful partner. My expectation is that we will at least have 9 men's teams in this year's tournament, with the potential for as many as 11. This is the best conference in basketball. And if the NCAA is considering any changes to the tournament, we need a seat at the table for any decisions that are being made. A regular season in the Big 12 is a grind. It's much different than a regular season in most conferences in America. As ESPN has said often throughout this year, every night in this league is like a tournament game. Looking forward to March Madness. It's one of the best spectacles in sports, and we'll be following our men's and women's team around the country. I want to thank all of you for your support of the Big 12. You've been fair and very appropriate in your coverage, and I really appreciate that. With that being said, I'm willing to take any questions now.
Thank you, Brett.
Fire away.
Hey, Brett. Thomas Jones with the Austin American-Statesman.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you again. It's been an unusual year. You know, the 4 new schools you referenced are coming next year. Texas and OU still in the conference, almost in a lame duck situation. What's been kind of the most challenging aspect of having, dealing with Texas and OU, knowing they're not part of the future? What's kind of been the biggest challenge this season with that?
No challenges, whatever. I mean, there's been no challenges. I mean, Texas and Oklahoma, great contributors to the conference, have been here since day one. They're finishing strong, obviously. And when the time comes, we'll wish them well. We wish them good luck in the SEC. But as I've stated before, there's never been a better time to be part of this conference than right now. Our future is extremely bright, very bullish in our future. The Four Corners obviously will be joining us. We'll be a 16-team league for the first time. We've gotten stronger in football. We've gotten stronger in basketball. We've gotten stronger in Olympic sports. So life in the Big 12 has been great. No challenges this year. It's been seamless as we've integrated and begun to integrate the Four Corners. And in many respects, celebrate the contributions of both Texas and Oklahoma and what they've meant to this conference for so long.
Front row center.
Matthew Postins, Heartland College Sports. I have two questions, Brett. First, have you started discussions about the configuration of next year's tournament with 16 teams? And over the last 2 years, you've asked for a lot of improvements and you've gotten them here at the arena. Is there a next step for you guys to go to in terms of making this the kind of experience you want to make it for Big 12 fans?
Great questions. First of all 16 teams next year will compete in both the men's and women's tournament. Greater specificity we'll give you guys later, but they'll all compete. As it relates to the building, there were numerous upgrades made for this year, and then next year we anticipate more to come. Our goal is to provide a world-class experience for our fans. I think they're getting it. As part of that experience, we wanted to elevate the premium experience. And as I said earlier, we've added over 400 premium seats for this year's men's championship, and more to come next year.
Okay, this side in the middle.
Justin Williams, The Athletic. I have a football question. There's reports that CFP leadership is nearing a decision on revenue distribution and governance by the end of this week. Is that accurate to your understanding, and any other details you might be able to share on that?
Well, I want to keep it really focused on basketball, but I will say there's been ongoing conversations with respect to the next iteration of the CFP. I think it's fair we're making progress. We've had a lot of tough conversations, but I'm looking forward to concluding those conversations and moving forward in the most appropriate fashion. Nothing's definitive yet. Like I said, it's a work in progress, and I think we'll get there. I'm confident we will. Thank you.
Dennis, did you have a question? Here's a microphone over here.
Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports. Brett, where does the conference stand on bracket expansion? Does that help the Big 12 in basketball?
Well, listen, I read what you read, and I think from what I've been told and what I'm reading, it looks like there could be some modest expansion. I think 76 is a number that has been floated out there. I've been in touch with Charlie Baker and others at the NCAA, just trying to get a better understanding of how they're thinking about it. The data shows that if you do expand to 76, the Power Four conferences will benefit mostly, and I think at the center of that will be the Big 12. I'm all about access. Listen, we've got the deepest conference in America. As I said earlier, we've got 9 teams that definitely will be in. Arguably, we could get up to 11. So more access is great for us. So we'll see what unfolds.
On the aisle.
Federico Moreno, KJHK. You've talked about the emphasis about growing the Big 12 brand abroad and internationally. What can you encourage schools to do to not only grow the Big 12's brand internationally, but the schools themselves as well individually?
Well, listen, I'm a brand guy at heart, and I think we have an opportunity here to obviously grow the profile, brand, and narrative of the Big 12. I think we create a bit of a halo effect for all of our member institutions. We are going to Mexico City, which I'm extremely excited about. It's our first foray into the international marketplace. Kansas and Houston will be going, both men's and women's. Mexico City is a great extension to our geographic footprint, so it makes all the sense in the world for us to go there. And it is part of building our brand internationally. In fact, we're going on sale in Mexico City this week. So we're excited about that program, and there's probably more to come.
Third row on the end.
Jay Fitzgerald, Fox Today. How big can this conference really get? And second question is, you obviously got a lot of sports, a lot of teams to go to. I mean, is there time that you have to yourself? And what do you do during that time?
Regarding the question of could we go beyond 16, was that the question? Listen, I mean, who knows? Right now, I love the makeup and composition of this conference. In fact, I love it. As many of you know, and I've discussed it before, the Four Corner Schools was the best case scenario for us, and they'll be joining us next summer. So we've got a lot of work to integrate those four and transition them in the right way. Who knows what the future will hold, but I really love the makeup of our conference right now. And as it relates to my personal time, I love what I do. I love this job. It's probably one of the most favorite positions I've ever had professionally. And I love the diversification, love to get out to see all the different events and mingle with our key stakeholders, student athletes. So in some cases, I don't even look at it as work. It's who I am and I enjoy it. So, but in those free moments, I like to run, I like to work out, I eat healthy. So life is good. But thank you for the question.
Garen?
Me?
Yep, I'm sorry.
Oh, Cal Shabnet with the Kansas City
Yep.
Star. Brett, it seemed like there was just more animosity than ever this year at Big 12 officials. I know that's kind of the case every year. People aren't happy with them, but it did seem like there was more anger than usual this season. Is there anything you think that could happen that could improve that experience for everybody involved?
I think at the end of every season, we put everything through an audit to see where we can be better as a conference, and we'll go through that process right now. I've gone to a lot of games this year, and there has been obviously some issues along the way, but I think we've managed them accordingly, and I think every year you're going to have those issues that come up. The question is there an opportunity for us to get better and manage them differently? And I don't know the answer to that just yet, but we'll go through that exercise and we'll see where we end up.
Front
But
row
thank
on
you
the
for the
end.
question.
Brett, Mitch Harper with KSL Sports, KSL News Radio in Salt Lake City. You mentioned earlier this week that there was a 100% increase in women's viewership on linear. What was the increase in the men's side? And then in the future, in the next media rights deal, who will be the main television network of this Big 12 tournament in the future?
So men were up 8%, only Power 4 conference to show an increase year over year. As I said earlier, women were over 100%. ESPN will be our partner for this conference and our championship, men's and women's basketball, not only over this year and next year, but into the new TV deal as well.
Front row center.
Scott Springer, Cincinnati Enquirer. The league's obviously a gauntlet. I've heard opposing coaches in other conferences complain a bit that the non-conference might be a little weak, that the teams have set up their tournament scenarios with a weaker non-conference. Is that just sour grapes, or your thoughts on that, if any?
You know what that is? It's noise, and you got to tune out the noise. So I look at that as all noise, and if you look at and if you follow the data, again, I said earlier, best non-conference schedule or record of any conference. We've ranked at the top of every metric possible. So to me, that's just noise. We are the #1 conference in America. We've shown that for many, many, many years. We only get stronger next year when the four corners come in, both men's and women's. So that's what I'm focused on.
All right, 2 more questions. We'll go here, and then we'll conclude back on the aisle.
Brett, Mick Schaefer, KSHB
Nice to see
41
you.
here in Kansas City. Vic Schaefer said he thanked you after the game last night for moving the tournament over here. Curious to see overall what the early returns and the feedback has been in moving buildings.
Feedback's been great. I can't take credit for that. That was the vision that Bob Bowlesby had and others, at the Big 12 conference. I just executed it this year, but it was the perfect vision. Came at the right time. It was very appropriate. Probably should have happened earlier. But in speaking to student athletes and coaches and the fans, they all love being here. It's got a big-time feel to it. The experience obviously is very different. And I think tonight, you're going to see what it really feels like for a championship game to be hosted here for our women's championship.
And last question.
Yeah, Commissioner Michael Vopel from ESPN.com. The women's semifinals were on a Monday afternoon yesterday. Is there a thought about moving them into primetime, or would that be a discussion with the TV partner ESPN?
We'll again, like everything, we'll see what worked, what didn't, in this year's women's championship. We always strive to be better, so we'll evaluate and see what happens. I was surprised by the attendance yesterday. I thought it was, quite good. I think tonight's going to be fantastic. Saturday, we set an attendance record, for our event. So we'll assess, what we need to do differently moving forward. And if there's a chance to get better, we will.
All right, that concludes this evening's session. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Have a
Thank
great
you,
evening.
everybody.